Hey, this is David from Dash Off-Road. You can see I've had a bit of fun getting here today to get on site. Today I'm going to talk to you all about sand driving and what you shouldn't do with your four-wheel drive. Now, living in South Australia, it's pretty much a desert. It's sand everywhere I go, and I've been stuck pretty much everywhere there is in South Australia. So I'll show you my unfortunate boggings as we go through this video, and I'll try and give you some tips on basically what I've done wrong and not to do it yourself. Let's get into it. So sand driving is basically about two things. Traction and momentum. Well, all full driving's pretty much about that, but more particularly on sand. And you'd think with 300 kilowatts and 35-inch tyres, I should be able to get through anything. But you can still get unstuck, and it's very simple. These are my tips. Here we go. Number one is when you get stuck, don't just like floor it. Like if your wheels are turning and you're not going forwards, you're bogged. If you floor it, especially with big tyres like this, all it's going to do is drop down, belly out, and then you're in for a world of pain of digging it out with a shovel. The idea is, as soon as you feel like you've lost forward momentum and it's spinning, and feel free to try some other buttons and things you've got on your dash. Maybe you left your traction control on or something like that. But if you know you've got your car in the right gear doing the right things and you're not going forwards, stop. You need to get out, analyse what's going on, and maybe do a bit of digging, get a snatch strap, get something to put under the tyres, something like that. Okay, so don't leave your car in drive, like in D, when you're driving on sand, being an automatic. Not in drive.
Oh, what's going on? She's upset. You had it in drive, didn't you?
I did.
Third gear low.
How am I going to get down now?
If you're on a flat ground, pick a gear that's got a good amount of torque. If it's high range, you know, it's usually first, second, third maybe. More likely first, to be honest. If it's in low range, it's more like second or third. But if you are driving and you're in drive and you get into a position where you're losing traction, it will stay in that gear. Say you're in fourth, it'll stay in that gear. It won't drop back and boot it to get you out, and you'll just end up sinking down. So drive in manual mode, pick the gear, and you'll keep going forwards. Now, if you're driving in sand up a hill, that's when you need to work out what gear is required at the top of the hill to overcome the obstacle, not the bottom. So if you know you need enough torque for second gear low at the top of that hill, put it in second at the bottom and just keep the revs where they need to be in that maximum torque range for your vehicle and get up there. There's no use putting in fourth to get all this speed at the bottom and then you don't have the torque at the top. So pick the gear, especially in a petrol, you can rev it right out and get that momentum as well. For my car, third gear low range will go off any hill I've pointed at, to be honest. Alright, next tip is a funny one, and it gets those new guys out that are new to full driving on sand. If you're driving around, think, this is a great spot for lunch, I'm just going to stop here in soft sand. Make sure when you're pulling up you don't use the brake and you roll to a stop and your nose is pointed down a hill. Whatever you do, don't drive along that beach and think, it'd be nice to sit in my tailgate and I'll point up towards the beach, because then when you want to move forwards afterwards, you're going to be stuck. So turn around, point down towards the water or wherever you are, just make sure you're stopping on a downward slope. Say you're stopping to recover someone else. I've done this before. They're stuck, you go and pull up behind them, you're on a very slight incline, but in soft sand that's enough to make you stuck too. Better off picking another location around them, stopping when you're on a downward slope, and then you won't be embarrassed when you're trying to go forwards. Okay, this one's pretty obvious, to be honest. Lower your tyre pressure. Always lower your tyre pressure. even if you think, oh, it's only going to be a minute, I'm just going down the beach to have a look, that's when you get stuck, and all you got to do is lower your tyre pressure, make that footprint of your wheel longer and bag out a little bit too. I usually use about 16 psi, and that does everything for me. Any lower on it, you risk breaking the bead and going off the rim, especially for turning corners. So you turn corners with a wider angle. Next one, stay on the track. You can see the track marks, or if it's in sand, you know, there's bushes and stuff either side. The track is the safest place, and there's many people before you have gone and driven that track, so stay on the track. You might think, oh, there's a bit of water there, I'm going to drive around it. Generally, that's where the soft stuff is, on the edges. Go through the center, there'll be a hard base most of the time, and you'll get through. But yeah, there's always precautions there too. Also, usually you have, like when you're out in doing the road to beach board track, for example, the track will be relatively level, and then as soon as you get to the edge, it slopes off. You get one wheel off to the edge there, and you're on a pit. So you're on the beach, and you're bogged. And of course, the instinct, you want to get away from the ocean. So you end up like driving up. That's where all the soft stuff is. That's where it's all being churned up. You're better to go on a straight line, or if anything, use the slope to get momentum and drive down towards the water. Often that's where the harder sand is. You've got to assess this yourself, but driving down to get momentum, once you've got momentum, drive back up onto that soft stuff. You can't really go straight from being bogged on a beach and drive up the beach. It just doesn't work. So I hope you've drawn something from all of my failures in sand driving. If you like these sort of videos, I do them all the time. Hit that subscribe button wherever it is, and check out my other videos too. I do them every week. So one week is usually on 4WDing, the other one's on caravanning, heaps of tips and tricks. I love making videos, so hit that like button, and I'll see you next time. Yeah. How embarrassing would it be if I got bogged leaving the site that I came to do a video on about not getting bogged? Let's hope irony doesn't come and get me.